of August 10th, 2023. We'll reconvene at 7:30 p.m. Tom, can you lead us in the flag salute, please? Sure. 4B, civility statement. Ken, can you please read the civility statement?
Sure. When conducting the district's business, we will communicate clearly and concisely with respect to time for others, listen objectively, carefully considering the opinions of others, understand the counterproductive effects of disruptive, demeaning, and intimidating behaviors, understand and respect district policies and procedures, and maintain a respect for the rich history of the district and the efforts of those who have served in the past.
Thank you. 5A, report of action taken in closed session. No action was taken in closed session. 6A, public comments, recognition, and reports. Please submit a request to speak to the Board of Trustees card located on the exhibit table for any agendized or non-agendized items to the superintendent prior to the meeting. No more than 3 minutes are allotted to any one speaker. No more than 20 minutes on the same subject. Portion of the agenda for comments, recognitions, and reports to the board, and is not intended to be a question answer period. If you have questions for the board, please provide the board president with a written copy, and an administrator will provide answers at a later date. Do we have any board comments?
No cards have been pulled.
So I just read that for no reason.
Exactly.
You read it very fast.
Cost us welcome to your tax dollars at work.
7A, ADA representative. We do not have one. Hello, Mr. Sparks. 7B, CSEA representative. No Caesar. 7C, student representative to the board. Do we have an update on that?
That's being worked on next week at the start of the school year, and so we should have somebody, hopefully crossing fingers, at our next meeting in late August.
That's exciting.
Yeah.
D, superintendent gold standard report.
Thank you, Ms. Saxony. Tonight I'll be covering a strategic initiative from our existing plan, effective instruction and leadership. I'd like to start off by just sharing with the start of the new school year on August 16th. We've been working diligently over the summer on plans and preparations to welcome back our students, staff, and families. The district office does not stop, as we all know. Our fantastic staff has been very busy this summer completing facility projects, technology projects, finalizing hiring of staff, and preparing for professional development, which kicked off today. But most importantly, we're very eager to greet our students, new and returning students, Wednesday morning. In addition, more exciting news, we've been able to mitigate declining enrollment for the second year in a row. As of today, we have a total of 1,029 students enrolled for the new school year. Registration and approval of inter-district permits continue, which could see an increase in the next couple of weeks moving forward. In terms of preparation, on Wednesday the 9th, was that yesterday? Sure was. We had a new staff orientation here at the district office. We're thrilled to see the size and the energy in the room in terms of our new staff, our professionals, and new teachers. We had introductions, those were made, and the scope of work from the following departments, just to name a few from the district office, were provided to new staff on how to navigate. We had our SPED office, business services, ed services, transportation, food services, just to name a few. And also our new staff actually took a bus ride, toured our 3 sites between 9:30 and 10:30 yesterday morning, so that was pretty fun for them. So again, we're thrilled to welcome our amazing professionals and educators to our family. In addition, today we kicked off our district-wide PD, today at Vasquez High School. You see some photos up there. Some of the topics covered: CPR training, Second Step, which is a social emotional learning curriculum for Meadowlark and High Desert, Suite 360, which is an SEL curriculum that's for Vasquez, some AVID updates for special education, practices in assessment and report writing for our dynamic special education team. Tomorrow we have a school safety training, and of course we have tailored PD at the school sites for tomorrow afternoon. I'd like to go ahead and publicly thank our PD Council for their preparation and organization. A few introductions are in order for staffing changes and new staff to our district. As we know, Dr. Chamberlain, Paula Chamberlain, is our new Director of Education Services and Pupil Services. So congratulations, Dr. Chamberlain, once again. She'll be overseeing Vasquez High School as the acting principal with the support of the new TOSA, Teacher on Special Assignment, because we love our acronyms as educators. For student services at Vasquez High School is Mr. Sheldon Sparks, who will oversee social and emotional supports as well as day-to-day operations at Vasquez. We're equally excited to announce and introduce our new Metal Arc principal. With that, I'm going to turn it over to Dr. Chamberlain to do the honors.
I just want to speak on her behalf.
Thank you, Dr. Chamberlain.
Thank you. I just want to speak on her behalf. Ms. Jones couldn't be here this evening. Her nephew is ill, and I actually just got an update that they just left the hospital. So I told her, please don't worry. I would speak on her behalf. We're really happy to have her. She's excited to have met the new team, and she's just been really fun and a breath of fresh air to work with.
Thank you, Dr. Chamberlain. Oops, thank you, Dr. Chamberlain. Mrs. Jones, she comes to us with a vast background, administrative background in school administration, and she has a passion for STEM education and focus on building school community. So she'll be here at the next board meeting, so please welcome her and welcome her to our family as well. That concludes my report.
Thank you. 7E submissions.
We don't have any submissions for this evening.
Okay. 8, board comments. Tom?
Okay. Little strange having to start off now. But welcome everybody. It's exciting, 2023-24 school year. And like Dr. Sakian said, I'm very excited to get some new people in here. The Metal Arc principal sounds like a great lady. I read your email in her description. So welcome for her. I'm sorry she couldn't be here. Congratulations to Dr. Chamberlain for taking over probably the most dreaded job in the administration. So I wish you well, and I think you're going to do a great job. And I'm very excited to have Sheldon Sparks at the high school kind of taking charge of the day-to-day stuff, because I think he's a perfect fit for that. The students really look up to him. The community really looks up to him. So I think that's great. Very excited about the organizational changes you've made, Dr. Sakian. And it's already looking very promising. So I think that's a good start to the year, and hopefully then maybe there'll be more coming this year in terms of tightening up the ship. So that's a good sign. I think it gives a lot of people a lot of faith when they see, they just see a direction, a defined direction, and that's kind of what we're looking at. So that's really good. Enrollment numbers are great. I hope they stick. I know people move around a lot for the first couple of weeks of school, but it is a good sign, so that's great. So that's pretty much it. We're excited to get going here, and hope everybody enjoys the new year.
My turn. Later on in the year, I'm going to probably have to behave a little bit more, so I'll get the spunkiness out of the way first. First, we all miss Tim. That chair being empty down there. Tim had a lot going on with experience and dedication to the district. He understood the union. He understood staff. He worked with staff. He knew how to come up to a kid like me when I was young and go, why are you doing this to yourself? You're not really hurting anyone else. You're going to grow up to be seen as a derelict. He was that kind of person, and we very much appreciate him. And the people that filed, congratulations. I appreciate everyone stepping up to join us. Have a look, if you can, at what Tim did and what his legacy was, and kind of figure out there's some really big shoes to fill there. Lester, you need to get back here. I don't know where you're at or what you're doing, but your seat is right here. We miss you as well. I'd like to welcome everyone back to school, and I think I'll hold off on that for just a minute. The reorg is no accident. Paula, there's no lynch mob in here. There's no save your job petition on the internet, and there's certainly not hamburgers and barbecues being traded for free grades, so congratulations. I am very excited about the fact that we have people who have actually filled positions in classrooms that know kids that are being promoted into positions that they have earned. And I don't need somebody career building out of wherever they all come from, flashing a name around, coming in here. I will tell you this, for those of you who don't know, this is a conservative community where we understand and respect parental rights. We're not here to push agenda. I'm not here to make things handy for my kids. My kid is not going to sit in that chair or get special treatment. We are here to support the superintendent. I want to go backwards about to 2011. Yeah, that was my first board meeting. I sat out there for 5 years. And when I ran, here's what I told people. I hang these all over the place. They're everywhere I can see them. And what I told people in the Los Angeles County Registrar's brochure that they sent out, I want to reduce fiscal dependence on out-of-boundary charters. I want to return district focus to local students, and I want to improve the agency brand greater educational marketplace. There's a lot of I want in there. I did nothing to do that other than just say, hey, no, let's focus here. So I will tell you, right now, we have 0 dependence on out-of-boundary charters, 0. We actually have liability if one of those charters that we still have is out there doing something wrong, but I haven't heard of that. Nobody's going to jail for $80 million anymore. Everything is running tight. And I think there's good educational progress happening where people make those choices. Return district focus to local students. I just touched on my kids. I've lived in this town for 18 years, yeah, owned property, and I have put 2 kids through this school. One of them is at one end of the scale. There's a life skills program at the high school, and I'm going to talk about how happy I am about that here in a minute. But I'm going to give you fact-based evidence on what I see about this and what our team does. On the other hand, I have another kid who got out of a charter in her senior year, didn't know what to do. Nicole Saucedo took her in. She graduated a wheelbarrow full of degrees. I can't even keep count of it. I have 0 debt on this kid. She's headed off to law school next week. Those kids come out of this district and our staff. Bottom line, that's what we do for our customers. So, improve agency brand, greater educational marketplace. The students and their parents are our customers. If your customers aren't happy, they go somewhere else. So I want to talk about, I think it's going to be my turn to butcher everyone's name because no one can say mine. But I went to the welcome new student thing at VHS the other night. And what I saw was people coming in, matriculating from Ms. Van Ornum's school. They know what to do. She's not some softie. I don't hear noise out of your school. That's good. So they know what to do, and they know what not to do, and they're matriculating in. I think there's more people coming in from elsewhere, including people taking a look at our life skills program. I don't want to get into the economics of that, because I had to make a decision as a parent. I'm taking a great deal of freedom tonight. I put that kid on a bus for 4 hours a day to ride somewhere else and have this district pay $60,000 a year. That's the equivalent of 6 kids ADA for what? So she can go shopping at Walmart. She's in your office every morning. She's accepted. Ms. Owens, Mr. Sparks, everybody includes that kid. And we have problems in the past with SPED. We're forced to make basic floor level compliances. People on us, hey, you have to do this. You have lawyers all over the place. Now we have compassion, and with compassion towards those people comes real community. And the bullying stops. That's what makes community. I'm so proud. There were people coming to that orientation to find out about the life skills program. So here's where this board comes in case you don't know what we do besides give long speeches, me. We are up here to support a team that gives the classified certificated staff the tools they need to address the needs of the focus of all students, not just my student or my friend's student, all the kids. So if you want to look at a military program, we have it. If you want to be a carpenter, we have it. If you want to talk about how to do a cast on somebody's arm, we have it. We have all these things that people can look at and say, that is for my kid. I feel I'm at home. And probably for the first time in my whole career as a board member, I stood up there and watched 3 staff members not try to take some chrome spray paint and put it on some rusty piece of crap. They were actually believing in what they were selling to the public. That was so rewarding for me. The ADA, this is the first time since I've been on the board, we've been watching the numbers climb. That's new people coming in. That's new people choosing to be the customers of this school district. Nicole Saucedo, Miss Tiffany Casada, and Sheldon Sparks, I was very proud of the way that you represented our school district the other night. It was the shining moment next to the play that they had at Meadowlark. I hope we're going to do that again soon. But there are things that make me really proud and understand when you get a good superintendent in here that knows what to do and worries about putting money in his pocket last and hires a competent team that recognizes the value of giving people career paths and faces that don't show up here with half the town cussing me. I don't need half you to bring yourself in here. Half the town cusses me anyway. I don't care. But it's very rewarding to see everybody come together and sell a product that I know is real. Guys, slam up job. This is how you retain customers. What else do I have here? The SPED thing is so important to me. Put a kid on a bus for 4 hours a day. You call it. They're stimming out. They're stressing out. Those kids turn into be adults and they get angry. And then their parents get too old and then they're an institution. Think about that. Guys, I owe you everything.
First, I want to start by recognizing Mrs. Van Ornum and Dr. Chamberlain. And I forget every time I leave a meeting, I'm like, dang it, I was going to say, thank you so much for being at every single board meeting. I know you live forever away and you have a ton of kids and a ton of responsibilities waiting for you outside. It means a lot to me as a board member. It means a lot to our families. It means a lot to your students that you put in that effort. So I just want to recognize that you two are at every single board meeting. And I just wanted to thank you for taking the time to come to every single board meeting. And you too, Shiloh, you're here an awful lot too. So thank you very much. And you don't have to. It's not part of a contract. It's not part of your job to be here. So thank you very much for being at all the board meetings that you make it to. It shows how much dedication that you have to your school and to your students and to your families and to our district. So thank you. I want to welcome all of our new staff. I hope that you absolutely love your new school site. I hope you love our district as much as I do. I hope you stick around. I hope you stay to really build our family here as Meadowlarks and Hawks and Mustangs. So thank you for choosing us as where you spend most of your week and spend all of your time away from your family and see the differences that they've made. I don't think anybody realizes how much work is happening during the summertime. They think, oh, school's closed, school's off. There's so much backbreaking work going into making sure that each classroom, each MPR, our campuses are all hosed down. There's so much work that goes into getting ready for a new school year. So I do want to recognize our maintenance and operations team and say thank you very much. And like I said, I can't wait to get in and see all of your hard work. Enrollment being up is very, very exciting. So when we look at enrollment, we say, oh, last year at this time we were sitting at about 1,004, and this year at this time we're at 1,029. That's a difference of 25 kids. That's awesome. No, that's not a difference of 25 kids. We lost students. We had our seniors graduate, so there goes 100 kids. We've had students move, we've had students withdraw, and then we've enrolled that many more. So when you say it's a difference of 25 kids, it's really a difference of 200, 250 that those secretaries and those office clerks are in and out and in and out, and then constant numbers changing, and it's counselors making classes, and oh, let me take these kids out of classes, let me redo my numbers. Oh, let me put these kids in classes, let me redo my numbers. Let me take them out and put them in and redo. It's so much work, and it's.
If we're going to add these on, can we get these on, if these are going to be permanent year-to-year contracts, of course, at the beginning of the school year, we will update the not to exceed contract amounts. Good? Okay, I'm good, thank you.
And I have no discussion, so call for question. All those in favor?
Costa, aye.
Falls, your aye.
Brianna Taxoni, aye. 10A, Personnel Action Report.
I'll move.
Thank you.
Second.
The PAR has been amended. We have the addition of 2 high desert teachers that were added on as new hires, as well as Director of Ed Services, Pupil Services. In addition, there are 2 corrections that were made in the approved change in hours classification / location. The originally listed staff member, Ms. Olson, should now be Ms. Carol White. The last change under current open positions, we had licensed social worker. That should read master's social worker for current open positions. Those are the changes that were made to the PAR. Thank you.
All right, discussion?
Yeah, I just wanted to say how exciting it is to see the current open positions down at the level that it's at. It's shrunken down considerably, and it's a good sign, good work on that. And I also heard a very good piece of information is that even though we're losing Mr. Sparks for social studies at VHS, that's that position on here. The last one.
Yes, social
Right,
studies.
so I've heard that the long-term sub is working with Mr. Sparks already. So very good news that the 2 are going to work together and make sure the students have what they need. So I just, good. That's it.
Any more discussion? I do have a question. All of these open positions, I can find them and I can apply for them on EdJoin right now today?
Correct.
Okay. Call for question. All those in favor?
Costa, aye.
Falls, your aye.
Brianna Taxoni, aye. 11A, interdistrict transfer form updated. This is for discussion.
I'll
Dr.
move.
Sahakian?
Second.
Thank you. So terms and conditions of the inter-district permit, we want to go ahead and mirror, of course, what is in our administrative regs, specifically AR 5117, inter-district attendance. So the addition of language, we took straight off our AR, existing AR, and added it to the inter-district permit, which includes revocation of inter-district permits under these 5 reasons. 1, student is excessively tardy or absent from school. Student fails to uphold appropriate behavior standards. 3, student fails to make appropriate academic efforts. 4, false or misleading information provided for enrollment purposes. And 5, other conditions that occur that would render continuance inadvisable. So any one of these could be revisited for consideration of the revocation of an inter-district permit that I want to share with our trustees. Thank you.
12A, we
Hang on, Wall.
Sorry, discussion.
Oh, I got plenty. It is the law that if we are not busting out at the seams with our own kids, that we have to consider inter-district transfers. So, if you've got empty seats, and we still have not 400 anymore, but we still have at least 300 and some, then anybody that wants to come over here can fill out one of these and come into our school. I'm the only one that will say this stuff, so everybody else run and hide. If you think that you're going to take your kid that you haven't been parenting and you're too goofy to realize he is part of the gang. Nobody is making him be part of the gang. He can run around with the Costan kid. The Costan kids aren't in gangs, are they?
No way.
Oh yeah, they are. They're in the academic excellence gang. Yo.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeehaw.
So, at the end of the day, if you think that pulling your kid out of wherever they're at, messing up, and dumping them into here, that's like saying you pull an alcoholic out of a bar and then send them to a different one, it's going to be okay. It's not going to be okay. Do not come in here and disrupt our school and then lawyer up and then make me talk about you back there and spend $10,000 and be pissing away, that's what I said, our ADA for every kid that comes in here. We're going to be babysitting you, and then when you finally figure out you don't belong here, then we got to pay for you to go to Utah or someplace. I'm not doing it. But there's everybody in the background. Oh, Falls Draft. My principal would hang you up by your belt loop for punking him in the lunchroom for everybody to see you. Believe me, I got a scar right here from that. Do not come into our school and commit criminal activities and disrupt our school. I said it before. We are a conservative community. We respect parent rights. I crank out kids that are something out in this world. There's hundreds of them that come out of here. You're going to be one, or are you going to buy one? Come in here, excel, be part of us. Don't disrupt us. I've been waiting to get this on here forever. I like this part. I know what errant behavior is. I do it all the time. When you upset me with your behavior, you're doing something, son. Do not come in here and disrupt our school. Do not punk my teachers. Do not punk my staff. Go back to where you were. Nobody's listening to me. Thank you for putting this on here. We don't have to vote on this, I guess. But I want to make sure everybody understood how I feel. Thank you. That'll be it for the night, guys. I'm done.
Aww.
That wasn't real. I'm gonna write you up for errant behavior. Who's got the hurt feelings?
Send
for?
me back to where I belong. I am a big proponent of inter-district transfers. I believe that because we are, we do believe in parent rights, and I believe that our students can go where the parent believes that that's the best place for them, and vice versa. This is an amazing school, and it is the best place for a lot of kids, and I do think if your kid is getting in trouble out there and you bring them out here, it could be life-changing.
I hope so.
So, thank you for updating it to what it should be, and that's what that item was all about, that our application process is what it should be. So thank you. 12A, WeTip presentation.
Yes, thank you. So the WeTip contract was approved at our special meeting, late June board meeting. This is a feature that is supported and funded through our Department of Justice grant. So that's where the funding is coming from. It's an electronic anonymous reporting platform that would be up on our website for our community members, staff, parents, students to report anything along the lines of when you see something, you say something to ease that navigation and efficiency so that individuals that are assigned here at the district office as well as school site administrators receive that report, that anonymous tip immediately. So with that, I just wanted to go ahead and share with our community members and our trustees a short presentation by the representative at WeTip. Alex, I believe they should be on. Ms. Kristen Arnell. we'll get this information out to our community members before the launch. We'll make sure that a communication piece is out so that everybody understands, you know, okay. All right, well, I was just backpedaling right now. All right, Alex. Yes.
Okay. Everyone can see my screen?
Yes.
It's been around for 50 years. We were recently acquired by Catapult, which is a ed tech company. So we were able to develop new features, but we've been doing this a really long time. Your district just purchased all of our products as far as WeTip goes, so you have everything available to you resource-wise on anonymous reporting, which is good news. Currently, you can call in a tip. You can use our custom web-based forms that we have set up for you. A QR code will be placed on posters inside of your schools within the district, and it has all of these things in that poster. So it will have the dedicated line, which you see here. Again, students, staff, families, surrounding communities, they can call, text, or scan the code, and they will be given a option of the school sites and multiple forms such as bullying, concern for self or others, things like that, where they can report anonymously. And once they do that, the selected staff at each site and the district will get a email and text notification, and they can respond accordingly, investigate incidents accordingly, log their notes, keep track of these incidents, which help for claims and liabilities as well for the school sites. See, so these are obviously people that can report. We say surrounding community because obviously people live around these schools. Sometimes things happen after hours, and neighbors to your school sites are willing to obviously report things. So that's why we say community. This is a simple map of basically what happens when a report is submitted. Like I said, your district and site personnel will get an alert. They log into our Catapult EMS system. They process, they can communicate anonymously with the reporter, keeping everybody anonymous, including the investigating site. So if you are a counselor trying to talk to, somebody who reported a concern for their self or their friend, nobody knows who they are, and they're able to get questions and help whoever needs help. And then they can also resolve the incident. It stays within Catapult EMS database. So if you need to do audits or anything like that in the future, everything is still in there. Nothing is removed or deleted information-wise. So again, it helps with claims and liabilities for the district. These are just some of the types of reports that we take out. Obviously, we will take anything because it's just supporting your district and your sites. These are the forms that we offer that ask specific questions, pertaining to these incidents. Vandalism, bullying, obviously, any threats, again, concern for self or others, staff misconduct, anything like that, we will take it all. Again, keeps everybody anonymous, still allowing two-way communication. It does give the option if they want to give their information. Sometimes, parents don't mind because they want to talk to somebody. Obviously, they can put in their information for just confidential. And there's no identifiers. And you have the option to turn on your IP address. So this does help when, students make false threats. And if that becomes an issue, we always do have IP that we could help give your law enforcement to aid in investigations. These are usually the top areas concerned for, risk and liability that we help and prevent a lot of these things. This is just a very broad range, but obviously all the reports are date and time stamped. You can't edit the reports given, so you can't actually edit information. And again, this helps when any, obviously liability if you enter into lawsuits. This program, these reports, they really, really help in these situations. And then a lot of times our system is built to include law enforcement. So if you have neighboring law enforcement where they have to come into the investigation, we're happy to include them. Lots of districts do it, and it makes it easier for everybody to be paid. This is how we help you promote. Multiple promotional materials is your actual poster. So again, these will go up in all of the sites in your schools. You'll see that it labels the dedicated line, which they can call or text, and then the QR code that they can scan. And again, if anybody wants to quickly scan it or text it, you're more than welcome to. You'll see what it does. Text will reply with a link that leads to your district. They pick the school site, and then it leads to a language option, and they choose the form that they want to report. This is a suggested button that would go on your website. You guys have a really great website, by the way, so I wouldn't put that button. I would just use the one you already have, and add us to the page, and that way anybody involving going to your site, district and school site wise, they will see the link and they'll be able to use that resource to report anonymously. This is what it would look like internally. So for site and district staff, when a report comes in, again, it comes in email or text. They would click the link, log into EMS. These are the things they would see. Again, they would see it's mobile friendly. They would see the details of the report that they cannot edit. They can add notes. So if there's multiple people investigating, they can all keep track and be on the same page, or they can communicate anonymously with the reporter if they opt in for that option. That's basically it. I was told to keep it short and sweet. I do have your guys' actual forms available if you would like to see it, but if you don't have time, I totally understand. It's up to you. Would you guys like to see it?
Come on, you really think we're gonna say no?
You're gonna say no. Wow. It will be launching this week. It is ready to go live. We are in communications with everybody from your district that we need to. Everything has gone according to plan, and we really look forward to you guys having this for the start of your year, and we are always here to support you. Is there any questions?
Yes, my question is probably more for the superintendent. So when people make, they go on the tip line and they have an incident, they go and they do this, it shows up to who in the district? Who's monitoring on our side?
Yes, so we identify staff here at the district office. So for example, myself, Dr. Chamberlain, Mr. Bensko, and then at the same time, the school site in particular will get a alert as well. So for example, let's say if it's High Desert, it would be Michelle Van Ornum. She'll get that tip, I'll get the tip, Dr. Chamberlain and Mr. Bensko all at the same time, so that we could go ahead and coordinate.
And there is some type of notification that tells you to take a look, or?
Yes. So the emails will come through as well as a text message. So, in terms of our onboarding, provided, our email addresses, our cell numbers, that's all a requirement for the onboarding in terms of identification and contact information.
Okay, thank you.
Sure.
Sorry, if I could just add one little tidbit. So you also purchased the 24/7 monitoring and triage. We have a live 24/7 call center with agents who monitor those reports. So if there is something that comes in after hours that is an emergency, which again is already set by your district personnel during the onboarding process, we will notify who they designated to so that those types of reports don't get missed or waited until after the morning meeting. It's brought to your attention very quickly. I think that's an important thing to add just because it's an extra feature for safety, and it helps you and your site staff as well.
Thank you. We've designated our board president for the 2 a.m. calls.
No, I very rarely see those. They're more like 10 p.m. or 6 a.m. Don't worry, there's no 2 a.m.
This is a very serious topic. It's my turn? Okay, as an uncompensated board member, volunteer, I have been waiting years for this program.
They won't block you, Ken.
They- Right, now this is great, thank you. Is this coming out of the funding? Tell me about the funding source.
This is coming out of the Department of Justice grant that was awarded to us in last fiscal year, yes.
Good, so we get to do police work, great. Okay, I'm done.
So when I was still an employee, and I won't say at which site, because I've worked at all of them, but when I was still an employee, there was a panicked parent had heard something from their child, and they called me. I'm the number that they had. I tried calling the principal, I tried calling the school counselor, I tried calling people in the district office. I did finally, after a whole lot of calls and a whole lot of time that had passed, I actually called so many times that I decided to just call the parent at the same time. Couldn't get a hold of a parent. Then somebody from the district office called me back. It was about an hour later. Horrible things could happen in the span of an hour. But the parents that originally heard and were worried, they had no idea who to reach out to. They don't have principal cell phone numbers. They have an email address. They don't have superintendents and counselor cell phone numbers. So when they're sitting at home and a friend hears something about another friend, or they're worried about something and they have nowhere to turn, that's terrifying. And as a school employee, it was terrifying that we didn't know what to do and how to get there. And it was about 10:30 at night. So I'm calling, waking up all of the bosses. And it was really, really scary. Everything turned out fine. Everybody was okay, but it was a really scary hour. For staff and parents having somewhere to go, having a plan in place of if something horrible is going on or we fear something horrible is happening, this is where we can go. This is fantastic. I'm not going to say I'm excited about bringing this program, but it's definitely something that our district needed, because I feel like just emailing somebody in the middle of the night does not get questions answered. So this is definitely needed in our district. So I am excited that it is being paid for out of grant funding. Yeah, the grant funding. So thank you for that. This is definitely a much needed program in our district. So thank you very much for your presentation. I appreciate you spending your evening here with us.
No problem. Thank you all, and good luck to your new school year.
Thank you. 12B, contract for safe and resilient schools.
I'll move.
Second.
Thank you. So the contract for $20,900 again is grant funded. This is grant funded through the U.S. Department of Education under the Mental Health Demonstration Grant, and this is training, professional development for our growing social worker team, training in CBITS and Bounce Back. It's a formal training for individual and group counseling. So the staff recommendation is to request approval for the contract for safe and resilient schools. Thank you.
Discussion?
Does any part of this program circumvent parental rights of any kind?
No. It is by law that we have to have a parental ed rights holder consent, and anytime that there is a referral that's put in for a student, a parent consent goes out to the parent guardian / ed rights holder, which outlines the scope of work that it might entail, and it needs their authorization, their signature on the consent form. Otherwise, the student won't be seen.
Okay, thank you.
Of course.
Can do a discussion. I don't have anything, so all those in favor?
Cost and I.
Bulls, aye.
Brianna Texoni, aye. 12C, authorization allowing Assistant Superintendent Business Services to make inter-fund cash transfers for fiscal year 2023-2024. Can I get a motion?
I'll move.
I'll
Second. Okay.
Thank you. Dr. Sakian.
Thank you. For items 12C through 12F, they are annual routine procedures for the functionality of our business services and their processes in place. I will defer those items to Mr. Vensko for further information for our trustees. We can start maybe with item C.
Sure. So yeah, as Dr. Zalakian has said, these are routine authorizations or resolutions. Again, allows us to make the appropriate transfers, cover any unfunded pieces or overfunding or whatnot throughout the close of the books. This is something that LACO requires us to have, and it requires board approval. So if any have questions, please let me know.
Tom?
So there is currently not a underfunded or overfunded fund that needs this to happen?
No, it's just there just in case if for cash flow purposes. So like typically in the November, December time period when property taxes kind of get low, that's usually when these cash transfers need to happen. However, we have a pretty healthy ending fund balance, so that doesn't really require that, but it's always there just in case cash flow, throughout the year is high or low depending on what the circumstances of the state budget are.
Okay, and the other question I have is it says maximum authorized 1 million, and it says amount not to exceed 75% of any monies in any fund.
Correct. So each of the funds that were listed, I think this is item number F. Item F, so those 4 funds, if let's say we had like $1 million in there, I can only transfer 75%, so 750,000, but I can only maximum across the 4 funds, I can only transfer up to $1 million from any of those funds, from total in aggregate.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, 2 things, and this will apply to all of this. To make this really clear, I'll try to make this politically correct. It's best if I don't. Okay, in the old days, if I wanted to make the teachers union, if I wanted to cry I was broke, I would tell Kevin, transfer $1.2 million into the Fund 40, which is a construction fund, on no project that you have. And then that 1.4 million would be over here, and when our unions are negotiating, it looks like they're negotiating on a $1.4 million upside down. Could that happen?
It could, but we don't do that because that's.
I would
just
expect
business
not.
practice.
It's nice to see you here tonight. So, but I have literally seen that happen. And then the LACO dude sends you a letter and goes, you can't do that. And you don't bounce money around, you don't kite checks and kite fund balances. So my big question to you is, we all know that the charters get their pass-through money. In other words, we have to give the charters the equivalent of their property tax funds before we get ours back. So in other words, you are acting as a loan company, just like LACO would act to us as a loan company in case we had a fund balance. Have you seen or anticipate that you'd have to borrow money from LACO to do the charter pass-throughs?
No.
Good, because Mr. Marza, I still remember you, even though you ran off to Ventura, that's okay. He was a proponent of doing those pass-throughs monthly, so it wasn't hitting you where you have to come up with $200,000, $300,000, $700,000 at once. So that's my only concern. We've got enough balance to handle the charter pass-through without jeopardizing our own budget.
Absolutely.
Perfect, thank you.
I don't have fiscal year 2023, 2024.
I will move.
Second.
Mr. Vensko?
Again, this is an annual requirement that was put out back from Prop 28, and I believe it's Prop 28, sorry, Prop 30 and Prop 50. The school district has to designate how we are going to spend those education funds that are part of the EPA Education Protection Account. As we have in the past, and as we will continue to do, we spend this only on teacher salaries and not any administrative salaries, as that is not allowed. So that was just
for you.
Thank you. Discussion? Call for question. All those in favor?
Costa and I.
Ballsy, aye.
Brianna Texoni, aye. 12E, consideration of adopting resolution 23-24.4, education protection account, fiscal year 2022, 2023.
I'll move.
I'll second.
So again, it just has to be in place and to make sure that we're in compliance with the education code. So even though we're doing this in August, it's still compliant as we have not closed the books yet for 22, 23.
Discussion? Call for question. All those in favor?
Costa and I.
Ballsy, aye.
Brianna Texoni, aye. 12F, consideration of adopting resolution 23-24.5, temporary interfund cash borrowing for fiscal year 23-24.
I'll move.
I'll
Second.
Again, just this is more of the same. So again, this is the authorization that is required that we have this on the books, so to speak, in order for those for that temporary cash borrowing to be able to be done if needed. But again, no foreseeable need this current fiscal year.
Thank you. Discussion?
Out of curiosity, if there is a need and you're pre-authorized, at what point is it reported?
So it gets reported through, well, it would do a journal entry within the LACO's financial system, in which case LACO would review to make sure that we have this resolution in place. And then you would see it a part of our cash flows on the interim budgets. So you would see there's a little separate line, usually for interfund transfers. That's where you would see it show up on an official statement, so to speak.
Thank you.
Call for question. All those in favor?
Costa and I.
Ballsy, aye.
Brianna Texoni, aye. 12G, consulting contract, AST Consulting Services, Alex Sabagal.
I'll move.
I'll second. Dr. Sahakian?
Thank you. So we're recommending the board ratify the consulting contract, AST, due to the vacancies in payroll specifically, to go ahead and assist with payroll deficits in terms of getting payroll out, which is a critical component of business services, along with making sure that the training is in place for the HRS system and other systems in place so that there is that continuity without a break in service, along with training of a new payroll clerk. Thank you.
Discussion? Call for question. All those in favor?
Costa and I.
Ballsy, aye.
Brianna Texoni, aye. H, consulting contract, Lisa Patterson, certified bus trainer. All motion.
Second.
Really?
So our district doesn't have a certified bus trainer on staff, therefore, to stay current with all the transportation requirements that are put forward by the state, the district must enter into a contract with a certified trainer, hence Ms. Patterson. So we are recommending to the board to approve the consultant contract not to exceed $30,000. Thank you.
Discussion?
This is the second year we've done this now, is that correct? Not have, or?
Yes, it is the second year, and it just is in the case of losing bus drivers or needing to add more in case we do. It also allows to make sure that we're just in compliance with all CHP requirements as we don't have a certified trainer on staff. So just to make sure we stay in compliance.
And it seemed to work well, right? Is this better than having somebody full-time twiddling their thumbs?
Correct, and it saves district money going that route, and it also allows for, again, we have 2 bus drivers this last year that went through the training. We actually have one that will be on the next part. You'll see actually got certified as one of our full-time bus drivers, so it was very successful. So we're going to keep this person on. Again, we will only use them as needed, and it is not to exceed 30,000.
Thank you.
When you say this is the second year we've done this, do you mean that this is the second year with this specific consultant?
Yes, that's correct. It's the same consultant that we used last year.
Okay, because this isn't just the second year that we've had a consultant. We had a consultant in the past before this.
I believe so, yes.
Okay. And before that, I just want to clarify that when we did have a certified trainer on staff, they were very, very busy and they were not just sitting there twiddling their thumbs. She was also the lead transportation, and she was also a bus driver, and she was quite fantastic. So I don't want anybody to think that we think that our last trainer on staff was sitting there twiddling their thumbs, because she absolutely was not. She was actually my bus driver. And a friend. So just wanted to clarify that she was quite fantastic. And then we do not just keep a certified trainer on staff for getting new bus drivers. Our bus drivers have to go through a certain amount of training each year to keep their driver's license valid. So we do, even if we're not getting new bus drivers, we do have to provide training to our existing bus drivers as well. So I just wanted to clarify that also. Call for question, all those in favor?
Yeah, I
Is there
just
more
want to say
discussion? I'm
that
sorry.
twiddling thumbs was not aimed at an individual. So my point was, if you have somebody doing a singular job that is not required full-time, it makes sense to use the consultant. So I just want to be clear there, okay? And
Okay, the thumb twiddling used by two, I gotta beat this. I'm questioning as to why we need bus drivers being trained, because when they're student drivers, us parents save so much money on kids wanting to go ride the roller coasters at Six Flags because we're all over the road. Now, you really have to self-report to state patrol that your buses are operational, all that kind of thing. And on top of that, how am I supposed to get my training here for free and then go over there if I don't have a certified bus trainer? Because I hope that's not happening. Okay, thus far. We appreciate anyone that steps forward. Think about this. Do you really want to get on a bus full of kids, especially if there's a Falls Grab kid on the bus? Okay. Think about that. So twiddle thumbs, does that take care of that?
Call for question, all those in favor?
I
Aye.
I owe you a meow, by the way.
12I, state enacted budget update.
Thank you. Mr. Vensko has a brief presentation on how the May revise, Governor's May revise, how it impacted our budget, adopted budget, in particular 2 funding sources, and he'll explain the 2 funding sources as well. Mr. Vensko.
Thank you very much. Good evening, board. So tonight I just wanted to just give a brief overview of what has happened at the state level and how it affects this district. Part of the budget cycle, there's a 45-day revision that is not required, but it is, it's always good practice to kind of bring back what changes, because as we know, the state adopts their budget after we adopt ours, so there can always be changes. And prior to COVID, it was very minimal changes. During the 3 years of COVID, there were significant changes from when the state adopted the budget to when we adopted ours. This year, there really isn't too much of a change, but I just wanted to give some kind of themes of the enacted budget. So 2 of the big pieces that I want to point out is that there's the postponement of personal income tax and corporate tax returns until October. So what that means for the state budget is that it's still an estimate at this point. Typically, our personal income tax and corporate tax are due in April, so we have a good idea of what our funding for the state level will be. However, they've pushed that out till October, so it could be higher, lower, it could be no change. We just don't know. So it's kind of one of the, they're calling it one of the riskiest budgets of the decade, because this is, it has a lot of what ifs, right? The second piece that I want to point out is that the state is using a lot of one-time revenue to fund ongoing COLA increases. Now, School Services of California, who put together the majority of this presentation, so I apologize, I give credit that they actually put this out and we can tweak that. One of the things, we don't spend one-time funding on ongoing expenditures. So it's just, again, showing more of that risk potential for change in the future. So that's the two big pieces that I wanted to point out, with kind of the themes of the budget. Again, I'm not going to go through every single one of these. If we go down to the next one, the risks to local budgets. Again, there were, we did fully fund at 8.22%, which was what was presented at the adopted budget. But again, as I mentioned, that one-time funding being paid for these ongoing COLAs can potentially hurt us in the out years. The next piece, so I wanted just to show what the LCFF in the nutshell. So the LCFF is a local control funding formula. It provides 70% of our revenues for the district. So you can see here we have just some general, we're getting about $13,875 per ADA for the 23-24 school year, with a projected ADA of 925 and a total LCF revenue of 12.8 million. And I wanted to show kind of last year's versus this year's, because I want to kind of clarify the difference between what the state says our LCFF COLA is versus what our actual COLA is, our year-over-year change. So last year we had LCF revenue about 12.1. We have projected revenue of 12.8, which is $740,000 of an increase, which is great. They say we get an 8.22% COLA, but our actual year-over-year increase is only 6.11, and that is due to changes in ADA. So we were actually funded a little higher ADA in the prior year. So while we're not getting a full 8.22% increase to our LCFF revenue. So just wanted to point out how sometimes what the state might say, it doesn't necessarily equate to our COLA. And then the other piece I wanted to bring up is the two changes to the grants. So at adopted budget, there were the two grants I talked about most, was the Arts, Music, and Instructional Materials Block Grant and the Learning Recovery Emergency Block Grant. So the legislature really pushed back on the governor's May revision. He wanted to cut both programs significantly. However, the legislature had kind of squashed that and only had very minor reductions to those, with some even having an intent to restore. So on the Arts, Music, and Instructional Material Block Grant, Acton actually, so we had only put in about half of that funding, which is what we had received to date. However, we're going to be actually getting an additional $247,000, so that's to the good. And you'll see that in our unaudited actuals come September. You'll see that at the bottom line. The second piece is actually to the negative because we didn't reduce it. We didn't reduce it at adopted budget for the estimated actuals. So we're actually going to have a negative 165 based on what the full reduction was. So again, you'll see that at the estimated actuals. And then the other pot of money I wanted to point out was the Prop 28 funding. This is Prop 28, this is all for the arts. This funding is based on 1% of Prop 98. So it will fluctuate every year. And Acton, I will say for the 23-24 is estimated to get about $158,000 for arts. So, and 80% of that has to be done for teaching based on our size of our district. So that's where the arts TOSA that we have just recently hired will be funded out of. So that's really all I wanted to bring up. And again, just to point out that the budget is got some interesting happenings over the next couple of months. We could see, you know, if our revenues are really terrible, the state can enact mid-year cuts. I'm not saying that that's what's going to happen, but that's one spectrum. Or if we start getting, you know, things are great, things are going to be fine, then we will not see any cuts, and we'll see any changes that they come up with on the governor's budget proposal in January. Thank you very much.
Thank you for that. Do we have any discussion?
Good, thank you. Thank you.
All right, thank you. 13A calendar, we have a special board meeting on August 17th, 2023 for board appointment interviews. Regular board meeting August 24th, and a regular board meeting on September 14th. Do we have any changes for that?
No changes.
14A, future agenda items, appointment of new board member. Do we have anything to add to future agenda items?
I'm good, thank you.
15A adjournment. It's recommended that the board adjourn the meeting at 8:40 PM. Can I get a motion?
I'll move.
I'll second.
Sure,
Oh,
don't give Tom a
no,
second.
no.
1 second to answer just because you want to settle.
Because I want to go.
Really?
I'm not stalling.
Call for question. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye. Meeting is adjourned at 8:40 PM.